I'm Shashidhar here. We'll start in a minute as more attendees arrive. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're connecting from. I hope everybody is doing great, and thanks for taking your time to attend the webinar today. To introduce myself, I'm Shashidhar. I'm part of Citrix Ready technical team, and we have Jared Engskov from Flexxible IT along with us as the presenter of this webinar, who would walk us through how the details of Flexxible IT's app to digital service. I would like to welcome all to this Citrix Ready Technical webinar series, where we showcase how Citrix and our partners have integrated to deliver valuable products and solutions for the common problems faced by our customers today. Jared, yeah, thank you. Citrix Ready, just to give an overview of the program, is an end-to-end technology partner program which showcases and recommends third-party products, solutions, and services which demonstrate compatibility with the Citrix products. Now, customers can easily find the solutions recommended by Citrix in the Citrix Ready marketplace by navigating to citrixready.citrix.com. And to find more information about the program, you could navigate to citrix.com/partnerprograms/citrixready. So before we start this presentation, if you have any questions during the webinar, please use the question panel on the right-hand side, and we will take your questions in the Q&A session at the end. So without any further delay, let me welcome Jared.
Thank you for that intro, Shashi. I appreciate it. And welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. My name is Jared Engskov, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how Flexxible IT's brand new cloud service called Apps Digital is your employee's fastest route to digital workspace adoption in just 3 minutes. And it's also your fastest route to visibility. So I know many of you here are Citrix clients, and with that in mind, many of you are looking to probably move from an old version of Citrix to Citrix Cloud, or maybe you've hit a wall on your Citrix virtualization project, and you want more visibility into your digital workspace adoption, or maybe you have another challenge along those lines. And I bet you're finding that digital workspaces and the adoption feels a little bit slower, feels riskier, and less predictable than you expected. You might not have the visibility that you thought you'd have, and to know which of your users' apps are legacy apps, which are web apps, which are virtual, or you might not have the ability to really update your IT director or CTO and ask how things are going. So without knowing for sure what happens in your department, your projects get stalled, deadlines get missed, you have late payoffs, less workspace adoption overall, while your employees may lose confidence in you as an IT department. So at Flexxible, we want to change that. So we said, what if you could redesign your digital workspace adoption by, number one, inventorying and classifying all of your applications quickly, virtualizing them easily, giving your employees a self-service portal to access them independently, and managing all this, all of your virtual cloud infrastructure or on-prem infrastructure effortlessly. So if you could do that with complete visibility, what would that look like? Well, that's why we've come up with Apps Digital. It's our brand new feature-packed cloud service from Flexxible IT, and it's your fastest route to digital workspace adoption and visibility. So we do have a demo for you, but before we do that, we want to talk a little bit about who Flexxible IT is so that we're just all on the same page. So Flexxible IT has been around for over a decade, which I know in IT is about, in IT time, that's about 63 years. But we started and we were founded in 2008 as a DaaS offering, desktop as a service provider. And through that time, we were with Citrix at the time with different products changing names, different architectures being implemented with the Citrix solution. So we've been around to see all this. And back when we started, our founder, Sebastian Pratt, started writing his own automation code for Zen App and Zen Desktop management, even building a self-service features for end user customers to provision their own workloads, fix their own login issues, reset their own passwords, etc. So it did so well with that management layer that customers started asking us to implement that management layer with their on-premise Citrix solution. So in 2012, we became a software vendor and started doing that. So we're headquartered in Europe. We have offices in US, Brazil, UK, Italy, and Spain. And we're in all the major sectors: utilities, financing, healthcare, etc. And we have more than 400,000 users under the Flexxible brand. So one of the important things we do as well is we help to grow Citrix solutions in-house. So in our customers who've implemented our solution have typically increased Citrix licenses by 226%. We're exclusively focused on the Citrix Workspace solution, and we have alliances, as you can see here, with IBM, HP, and Login VSI as well, who we OEM. But today, what we're going to do is we want to talk to you about our new cloud solution, Apps to Digital. So as we said before, Apps to Digital is a unique cloud service, and what we designed it for is to really drive and track digital adoption. And what we're talking about is digital adoption is moving from your legacy type of workspace to the new Citrix workspace, if you will. So we do this in 4 easy steps. First of those steps is running the inventory. Next is making those applications available in the store. Third is deploying those resources in the cloud. And fourth is helping with adoption. So let's just review these real quick and talk to you about how we do this in a 12-week time frame or 3 months. So number one, inventory of the applications is done with our own Apps to Digital agent, or you can use our agentless feature as well. What we do here is provide to you a simple agent that you can load on your Windows endpoints that gathers information about your running applications. We're not going in and taking a look at every single application that's installed on all these devices and just getting you a large inventory. But what we're actually doing is we're looking at live data. How much of these, or which of these applications are running, what's going, and what resources are they using on your endpoints. And what we're also doing there is we're going to create some really nice reports for you. We're going to take those applications, we're going to sort them between critical applications, necessary applications, and departmental. So very quickly, in just a matter of 2 weeks, you will know all of the applications that are running on your endpoints for that 2-week period. You'll be able to tell which ones are used broadly across your environment, and we consider those critical applications, which ones are used broadly but not quite to the same extent, and those are going to be your necessary applications. And we'll also have a good idea of departmental applications. Now we're going to leave that agent running for a longer period of time, but the 2-week period is just to get an overall view of what are your critical, necessary, and top departmental applications across your environment, along with understanding how or what resources those applications are using. And again, I want to bring up here real quick too that we do have an agentless option as well. So you can set up a virtual machine for those of you who have no room to put another agent on your endpoints. you can simply set up a VM and make sure that has network access to your endpoints, and we'll be able to get some information. Not as much in-depth information, but we'll still be able to gather some very good critical information about the applications that are running in your environment. So once we have this list, once you actually know which applications are critical, which ones are necessary and departmental, we're going to go look at apps to store, which is our second step. And here what we're going to do is take these applications that we know about and provide you a way to simply move those into a virtualization model. Virtualization architecture or solution that you can work with is something like Citrix Virtual Apps, Citrix App Layering. You can also use Microsoft AppV, and we're working on support for MSIX from Microsoft as well. But any of these technologies you can use to virtualize. But what we're going to do is we're going to provide you with a quick way to do that using our apps to digital formulas. Our apps to digital formulas are an automated way to deploy these applications in a virtualized environment. And from there, we'll also be able to use our apps to digital connector to move that into our multi-cloud solution. But before we go to step 3, another part that I want to mention about step 2 is our apps to digital store. What this is a plugin to your existing Citrix storefront that gives the users some self-service. So just like their users are used to doing with their iPhones or Android devices, they can simply go to a store, click on an application that they want, and subscribe to that application and get access to it. We also have workflow approvals in the back end for those applications that need to have some approval. So user can click subscribe, workflow approval will get kicked off, the right people will be notified, and then they can approve that application access. So that's all built into the second phase of our project with apps to store. And then multi-cloud is step 3. And once we get everything virtualized, we need somewhere to run it. And that's where multi-cloud comes in. So using the apps to digital connector that we discussed briefly in step 2, we're going to use that connector to connect into your local on-prem Citrix deployment, your Citrix Cloud connector, which will then connect you into the cloud resources available through Citrix Cloud. So what this is all about is about deploying resources quickly and easily in the cloud of your choice using our apps to digital console. In here, we're building in cost tracking and those type of things as well. So whether you use Azure, AWS, or Google, you'll have some kind of idea of how many virtual machines are running in those clouds and what the cost analysis is of that as well. And then lastly, steps 1 through 3 are great, but if there's no way to know how well the adoption is going, we can't really move on and explain that to your IT directors or CIOs, etc. So with step 4, this is where we go from setting something up to actually monitoring and helping adoption across your environment. So here we're going to be able to see things like the user growth, how many sessions are increased in your Citrix environment, as well as understanding some of the pain points more quickly so that they can be addressed quickly. So here we have different things like one-time users that logged in once and we haven't seen them again. We monitor that so that you can contact those users, find out what the pain points were, and address those pain points. We also have some nifty tools like ways we can go in with the agents installed and actually switch the application icon target. So if they have a local application they're running on their desktop that's been moved to the cloud, we can switch that icon so that it then points to the new digital version of that application. So through these 4 steps, you can see we can easily take you from inventorying to adoption to get that 12-week result. So real quick, I wanted to show you before we go into the demo, I wanted to show you what our architecture looks like just at a very high level so that you can understand. Again, this is Apps to Digital. It is our cloud service. So this does live in Azure, and we have central to our architecture is our Apps to Digital API. And this API lives in Azure. We use a Cosmos database, and this is so we can deploy Apps to Digital in any of the geos where Azure is present. And you can see here down to the left, we have our Windows Apps to Digital agent or our agentless option here for gathering information. We use React plus API for our GUI, and our Apps to Digital Admin Center, which is a HTML5. And we're using OAuth 2 with Microsoft for authentication. So if you have a Microsoft account, you can easily get in and trial Apps to Digital for 15 days, and I'll talk more about that at the end of the webinar. So connecting into our Apps to Digital API as well as we have our Apps to Digital connector, which sits in your data center on-premise or in your cloud of choice. And this connects to your on-premise Citrix environment or connects to your Citrix Cloud Connector, which then gives access to the different clouds that Citrix Cloud has connected you to, such as Azure, AWS, or Google. So I just wanted to show that quick architecture there before we get into our demo. And so let's go ahead and we're going to switch into the demo now and show you how Apps to Digital works. So one of the important things we want to talk about, again, with Apps to Digital, this is a cloud service. So you guys, if you guys want to take a look at this, it's very simple. You can sign up for a free trial. There's no database requirements on-prem or anything of that nature. It's just basically going to the Azure Marketplace, signing up there, and in just a few minutes, you'll be able to log into your Apps Digital trial. So as I mentioned before, we use OAuth 2 with Microsoft. So signing in is as simple as having a Microsoft password, Microsoft account, and logging in. And once you log in here, you'll see that I have a customer name here for this demo. And we'll just click on that. And you see our nice clean dashboard here set up, again, with the 4 steps that I talked about before: inventory, App Store, multi-cloud, and adoption. So let's take a look at what we have here. One of the number one things you're going to want to do when you sign up for your free trial is come down to this area here where we have our endpoint agents. You can simply come here and click download and download this agent. It's very lightweight. We don't even give it an icon in the system tray. It's very, very easy and simple setup. So you basically just come here and you download this 2 megabyte file. And from there, you can push that out to your different endpoints to start gathering information. The documentation for how to install it, you'll need a customer ID and such, but that can be located right here in our documentation. So click there and you can start installing that agent. In just a few minutes, what's going to happen then is your inventory section over here will start populating. So as you can see here, we have 146 endpoints remoting in. We have 163 individual users. And then we have our apps inventory here, and you can see critical, necessary, and departmental apps are already being sorted out. So if we look at this dashboard real quick, we'll give us some very valuable information. Number one, we have, again, the number of endpoints listed here. Critical, necessary, departmental apps. Critical apps, it's apps that you'd think of like Firefox, Google Chrome, Microsoft PowerPoint. Necessary apps, things like Excel, Microsoft Word, and departmental apps are going to be varied from department to department. So again, the way we sort these up is basically the critical apps are the most used apps across the board in your environment. Necessary apps are used across your whole user base, except slightly less than critical apps. And then departmental apps are apps that are used by 25% or less of your user base. One of the other metrics we grab here is aggregated RAM by hour. So right here, you can see with our critical applications, you can see how much RAM is being used every hour. And this is really great information that you can use for sizing, especially when you're moving from on-prem to cloud, and you want to know how much or what size you should make the machines that are going to be running these virtual apps. Well, now you have a very important metric, which is memory, to know how much memory is actually being used by these applications. And we have it sorted out again between critical, necessary, and departmental applications for you here. Also, real quick, average RAM consumption for those applications, we can flag them right here real quick so you know who your heavy hitters are before you start the virtualization process. If we go back to inventory here, you can see a couple more important pieces here is an export capability so that you can quickly download and export all of the information that we gathered in the inventory. And also this list feature here, where you can actually go into individual applications. And if you have an application that's not used by many people, but it's still critical, you can click on that application here and simply change it to critical, necessary, departmental. So you can modify those settings here as well. So once we've gathered all this information, what do we do? Well, the first thing we're going to do is come into our virtualization progress. And on the left here, under this discovered column, you're going to see these are all the applications we've discovered with our agent running in the environments. And now we need to get them virtualized. So what we're going to do is what we're providing you here is a very simple way to organize and automate your virtualization progress. So you're going to take an application and you're going to move it from discovered to planned. And here you'll put in a description, you'll assign it to a user, and now that user will be responsible for virtualizing that application. And then there's different ways we can virtualize this application. So once it's in planned, we can move it into process. And here we're going to get a little bit of a different prompt. We're going to choose our virtualization technology, such as Citrix Virtual Apps or Citrix App Layering. We're going to choose a virtualization group, and we can choose to create that group if it doesn't exist. And then we're going to have these formulas as well. So what the formulas do is it's an automated way to actually deploy that application into a master image. So it'll be very easy to take an application that's not virtualized and through a list of formulas that will be publicly available, put those into a master image in an automated fashion. What that also gives us the ability to do is then choose our different cloud that we want to run these on. So these are some clouds that are available through our Apps to Digital connector with Citrix Cloud that's pulling down some of the hosting locations for Citrix Cloud. From there, we'll be able to take this into our test environment, again, automate the push into pre-production and production as well. So this gives you a great way to visually manage this, gather reports, and show progress on app virtualization. So once it's virtualized though, where does it go? So let's show you that real quick. So Metropolis is our customer here, and this is just a typical customized storefront page. So we're going to log in here, and this is something that you guys should be fairly familiar with, a basic Citrix storefront implementation. But we have a new store button over here. So what does that do? Well, that gives us all the applications that we've virtualized. And here, users can come in and subscribe to applications. If it's an application like Evernote or Google Chrome, for instance, that everyone has access to, they can subscribe to it, and they'll be given instant access to it. If it requires workflow approval, this clicking subscribe here will kick off a workflow approval that will have to get approved by someone else before the user has access to it. And then once they go back to their apps, they will see those applications available in their storefront, and they'll be able to log in. So just like that, we have self-service enabled for your virtualized applications. So once we get these applications virtualized and users are able to subscribe to them, we're going to need somewhere to run these applications from, and that's where multi-cloud comes in. As I showed you before in previous screens, we do have clouds, external clouds connected here, and you can modify different settings of those clouds, including putting some of them as production or not as production, limiting the amount of VMs and different options like that. We'll also have a graphic here that shows how many VMs are running in each of the clouds. In this, obviously, we're showing many clouds in a real life scenario, you'd probably only have one or two, or on-prem in a cloud graph here. And then we have our connectors, and our connectors is how we connect into local on-prem Citrix environments, or connect you to with a Citrix cloud connector that then connects you up to the cloud resources. And last but not least, we have adoption. And this is what we want to see with adoption is your user account go from low to very high. And so we want to help you guys with monitoring how this process goes and make sure that everything is going well with your adoption. So we're tracking things like user count, again, the one-time users here, so users that have logged into a virtualization platform once, you can quickly go address those issues. And you can improve adoption by doing things like we said, automating the change of that local target icon to now point to a cloud resource. So that is Apps to Digital in a nutshell. There's much more to it, but one of the things we wanted to talk about today too was how do you get to Apps to Digital? How do you actually try that out? So we're going to be sending you guys out a link after this webinar that's got some information on how you get to Apps to Digital through the Azure Marketplace. So at the Azure Marketplace, you can just come here, you can sign up for it using a Microsoft account. It can be a Office 365 account, or even just a free Outlook account if you wish. But you can sign up for it here, and in the plans and pricing, you can see you can get a free valid for up to 15 days for 10 users. So that's something that is available to you, and we will send out the link for that at the end of or after the webinar. So that is Flexxible IT's Apps to Digital. We wanted to know if you guys just want to open it up for questions and find out if you guys have any questions based on what you've seen today.
Thanks for the presentation. We do have a few questions from the audience. Let me open the questions panel here, and let me read out a few questions for you. Okay, so the first one is, can you track SaaS applications during the inventory phase?
So yes, we can track SaaS applications. We're working on improving that for all browsers. Right now, I believe with Firefox and with Chrome, that we are able to get URLs and such as we track those applications, which is very useful to know where people, not only what browser that they're using, but what website are they going to, and what are the requirements going to be of that particular website. So yes, that is possible.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and how is the license model for Apps to Digital work?
Yeah, so it is per user. Again, like I just showed on Azure Marketplace. Actually, let me pull that back up real quick. But if we do go to plans and pricing, you can see that there are different tiers here, and it is per user per month, right? So we do have some deals in that. Obviously, the more users, the better deal that you're going to get, and per year licensing is better than per month. So we do have all that pricing set out there.
Okay, absolutely. And I think to get more details about this, I think one could definitely contact you and then.
Oh yeah.
For
yeah, definitely. Sales@flexxible.com. You can contact, just send an email there. We will definitely talk to you about what we can do for you guys in that manner.
Okay, sure. And I believe like anybody could reach out to us at citrixready@citrix.com as well, and we could route them to this address as well if required more information. Yeah, so we do have a few follow-up questions. Let's take the next one. What technologies do you support to virtualize applications?
Right, so we support our Citrix virtual applications as well, which everyone knows is XenApp technology, Citrix app layering, as well as Microsoft App V, and we're working on MSIX support as we speak. So that, as that becomes more prevalent, we will support that as well.
Okay, thank you. And we do have a following question. Is the pricing flexible for project or staffing surges and reductions? Is this pricing all inclusive, or do I get a separate invoice from Azure?
That's going to be something that I'll need to follow up on. Definitely reach out to us. I'll find out exactly what that entails. But it's per user per month. So as more users are using it per month, there will be an increased cost there.
Okay, thank you. So we do have a few more questions, but I'll take the last one, and we'll wrap this up later. So does this support an on-prem Citrix deployment as well?
Yes. So as I was describing, our apps digital connector is something that sits inside your data center, wherever your data center is, and it can support a local Citrix implementation. So it'll connect into your delivery controllers and we'll manage that. We'll help manage that. And we do support, obviously, that connector will also connect with a Citrix Cloud connector for cloud access. But yes, it does support an on-prem Citrix deployment.
Okay, that's great. So thanks, Jared, for walking us through Flexxible IT's app to digital service. Any last words for our audience?
Yes, go, send us an email, follow us on Twitter, let us know what you think, and sign up for that free trial offer. We're really interested to get you guys in and using this to gather some of that information and understand more about your Citrix environment.
Okay, awesome. Thanks once again, Jared. And thanks for everyone for joining us for this technical webinar series. So with that said, we are about to end the webinar. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.